Well, hello and welcome to Sports by Compian. I am, of course, your host, Stephen Compian, bringing you some fascinating sports information as we draw closer to our NFL season, as these spring leagues continue to make waves. The Women's Rugby World Cup is around the corner. You, Sports by Compian fans, need to know all about this stuff, and that's what I am here to provide for you, is that kind of information that you need to know about. Let's get it rolling here. So first of all, the UFL has had to make some unfortunate changes. They are changing away from 4 of the cities that are in, ditching 4 of these markets, and the most tragic of all of these has to be the Birmingham Stallions, the 4-time UFL champions, and then USFL champions, and then finally UFL champions as well, are having to relocate from Birmingham because it was just very, very low attendance throughout their time there. I'm truly disappointed to see Birmingham not work out for spring football, considering they don't have a professional team down there. You would think there's a lot of football fans, as much as obviously the Crimson Tide is, life and blood down there. I guess they just didn't want to open up to a new team and look for the new friends because they're just so happy with their college football. But Birmingham Stallions have to move on, which is truly tragic, as I mentioned. Multiple-time champions to have to leave their city of origin. Very sad times. It's a bit of a shocker that the Michigan Panthers are moving on, as they had decent attendance there in Michigan. But I think a lot of it came down to that they couldn't get Ford Stadium for the times they needed it during playoff games, during the finals, all these sort of things. And that's a huge factor if you're trying to build a good franchise, a franchise that can be something that can stand for years. As one of the owners cited, we want to be one of the biggest shows in town. So that's why they're kind of looking at other markets where it's just not as competitive to get these venues. Could probably get them a lot cheaper too, where these venues are looking to at least be doing something during the spring. It makes sense to maybe look at other markets, other states where it's just not as competitive, apparently, for Ford Field during the spring. Who knew that Ford Field was that popular? But either way, the Michigan Panthers have to move on. Memphis Showboats are also moving on. Not too much of a surprise. They did finish towards the end of the bottom of the league, and that was as attendance as well. Just absolutely awful attendance there in Memphis, which dragged down the whole national average of viewership for the UFL. So it makes sense that they move on from Memphis and see if they can be more successful in other markets. The Roughnecks are also moving out of Houston. Not too surprising. It seems like they always just try to crowd so many Texas teams into one league. It's kind of crazy, but either way, Houston appears to be on the move again. We'll see where all these teams end up. The Roughnecks off and gone. 4 of the most potential ones that they're talking about is Columbus, Ohio, obviously, with how they do have a soccer field there already. They can get in on the MLS team, the Columbus team there. The Crew. So they could go play at the Crew Stadium. And, it had a good attendance before. They could even use the Hall of Fame Stadium, the Canton Stadium. So there's a lot of options that an Ohio team could have. There's always plenty. The Ohioans love football, so I do think that this is a solid move for them and a good market to get into. Boise is really intriguing, obviously, because there's no professional team out there now. There's not really much of a West Coast presence in general for the UFL. So this is pretty big for them to be moving all the way out there. Whoever plays in Boise will have a bit of a home field advantage for sure, because people are going to have to travel to them, but they will also have to travel further to everybody else, like teams like DC, and they're going to be having long flights. So it's certainly, if it could work, it'd be great. It's going to stretch the league a little bit more, and airfare and all that kind of stuff is about to go up as people are traveling to each other. So hopefully they can make it work. As we mentioned, Boise has a great college, and people are very excited about that. So maybe there'll be room for a football team there too. It didn't work in Birmingham, but it might be a big thing in Boise. They got the stadium for it. They got the venue. And as we mentioned, probably are guaranteed to be able to get some actual home games and such, because they're going to be the bigger show in town there in spring. I can't imagine there's a lot going on in Boise, Idaho in the spring. But I don't know. Sorry, Boiseans. Don't come at me. Florida, though, they are back in it again. UFL is once again testing the markets. So they had, at one point, the Orlando Guardians. They had the Tampa Bay Vipers. And then the Tampa Bay Bandits, I'm sorry. So now they're going back to one of those 2 markets. Orlando had terrible attendance, one of the second lowest back when they were the XFL. So maybe they'll lean towards more of the Tampa Bay Bandits market. I actually kind of hope so. That was who I originally supported back in the day, so it'd be cool to see the Bandits get back in there. And I'd be definitely happy to see them over Orlando Guardians, who were never too much of an intriguing team. Either way, it's going to be very interesting. Kentucky is the final market, and shout out to Yelling from the Couch. Mr. Brett himself is excited if a spring football team can go out to Kentucky. These guys don't have any type of professional football whatsoever, so it's another one of those states that, hey, can a professional football team work here? A lot of college passion. Will it translate to passion for a professional team? To be decided. And I do think this is the type of markets the UFL should be trying out. Kentucky especially is too far from everything else. Hell, it might be closer to me than St. Louis, so maybe that'll be a good option to go to for games. Either way, this would be a good market to go into, get more into the Midwest market, try to get closer to that Chicago market. It all makes sense to me. Solid choice. Definitely put Kentucky on the map. We'll see what they end up doing. So right now they've taken out 4 of their 8 teams and are moving them around. So it's going to be crazy. We'll see what they end up deciding with all this. But some of the moves make sense. Trying to make sure you can have venue space when it matters. All these type of things are important. They're always planning. They're always doing what they can to continue to grow this league. They need a little bit more cooperation out of the ESPN for both of these leagues because we've seen the same thing from MLR and UFL, maybe just not the attention that they should be getting from the network that's trying to grow a new sport. Like, this is good for your viewership to have a new sport up there, and they're not exactly doing the best they can to cover this. Anyway, Tampa Bay Buccaneers news. Unfortunately, David Walker, our rookie, has had to undergo surgery and will miss his entire rookie season. The outside linebacker dominated like NCAA 2 or something like that. But either way, it's just absolutely tragic that he's going to miss this. The Buccaneers really needed a pass rusher, so this really hurts. Now we're going to have to very much hope that Chris Braswell becomes who you drafted him to be, because now David Walker is completely out of the scenario for the entire year. It's going to hurt his development. He's going to get on the field when he's a much older player now. We've seen these kind of things happen with previous pass rushers from the Buccaneers. If going back to Noah Fant, not Noah Fant, Noah something or another. Great brilliance, flashes, but never could stay on the field. So let's hope this is not going to be a reoccurring thing for Mr. Walker, and he comes back strong as hell for the next season. But it's absolutely a devastating blow to lose our 4th-round pick that we had a lot of hope for. I was very excited to see what he could do. Coming in from southern Arkansas, 3 at Central Arkansas, 69 sacks total, like 82 tackles for loss. This guy was an absolute machine. So it's going to really cost us that we don't have him out there. We're going to have to hope from Yaya Diaby and Chris Braswell that they can make those next steps, or that our middle of our defense with Kalasha Kansey and Vita Vea will just be enough to get through this. But either way, tough blow for the D-line. We're really sad to see it. Another sad news for the spring leagues. NOLA Gold is folding, which is very sad. I don't know if this is due to their overall record they had the previous year, where they finished 5th out of 6 in the East. So not a good year for them. I don't think last year was particularly successful for them either. But this is tragic to see another MLR team. Not tragic, all right, not as bad as like Birmingham leaving the Stallions leaving Birmingham. But it is still sad. Damn it, Nola. I kind of already sort of didn't like them just because of the Saints. And I was just naturally like, fuck the Saints. But, either way, we need teams. We don't need them folding. This is bad. This is real bad for rugby everywhere, for guys making money playing the sport they love. It's not fun. So we're not happy about this. Maybe Nola could come back. There are still talks about pathways, and they're going to talk about this and talk about that. But either way, they are down for the count. There was talks when the arrows went down, and those poor Canadians have just been migrating from team to team ever since. So yeah, sad times for NOLA as they fold. In other news, the San Diego Legion and LA Rugby Club have decided to form into the California Legion, which does sound pretty freaking cool. They are going to be having their home games across multiple venues of Southern California, everywhere from LA to San Diego. So it sounds like they're going to be like a moving showcase, which is kind of interesting. And the idea is to get more of California involved in seeing them. It's going to they're going to focus a lot on the youth programs and bringing players up that way, which is if this is all true and the execution is going to be good, this is great. It's a good move. I mean, yeah, it hurts San Diego Legion fans who are probably pissed about this after their team has been doing very well to suddenly be doing this random merger with LA. And, like what was the purpose? You were starting to form a pretty good culture there with the Legion. But ultimately, these owners felt like they just needed to merge together resources, I guess, to continue to stay afloat. It's probably hard operating out there on the West Coast. But anyway, their whole thing was that this is all for the youth. We're going to be building ways for them to get in there, eventually become USA Eagles. The whole thing they've been saying for a while now. So if they actually implement this, that's what the rugby teams in Europe do. They all have their feeder programs of youth programs feeding into the major clubs. And that's how you continue to have good players coming up, not only for your club, but it will eventually end up as USA Eagles. So that is what America across the board has been lacking, is infrastructure for youth rugby to become stronger, have these kids really get a chance at, seeing a pathway to being a professional rugby player. And it makes sense when there's so many other sports that they could be playing here in the United States. They need to start getting to them while they're young and build that love for rugby in their heart, in their little tiny hearts before they can develop more. But yeah, this is an interesting move for MLR. Maybe sad news, bad news. It depends on how you look at it. Maybe you're happy about the California Legion popping up. But they're going to elevate the game in Southern California is what they're going to do. They're going to connect rugby communities, man. They're going to look for new ownership alignments. They're going to grow rugby statewide. And that's what the plan is. So good luck to them. We hope it does go that way and that this isn't a bad move for Western rugby. Either way, the Seattle Seawolves will still be there for whoever they want to play. MLR making moves. We'll see if they now we're down to 9. Yeah, we're down to 9 teams, I believe it is. Because we had 11 last season and now we're down to 9. So it's not great, but if we can stay strong, we can always replenish more teams. It's all about building up that attendance, so hopefully they can figure that out. Moving on, the Women's Rugby World Cup 25 is upon us. That's right. I'll bet you didn't even really know this was happening, but in less than 30 days from now, Sports by Compian fans, the Women's Rugby World Cup will be here, and it will kick off with none other than our USA team playing against the England team. The start of Pool A. This is a host tournament for England rugby. They have been known to win this tournament many times. Let's see how many times they've won. They've won in 2014 and 1994. And they were runner-ups about they were runner-ups. Holy cow, they were runner-ups 6 times and a third place. So they always clean up in this division. In these Rugby World Cups, and that's incredible. What a run. So the U.S. team has only won it once, and they have been runner-ups 2 times and have had some disappointing group stage exits. Right now, it is a very good rugby team. They are ranked they're ranked a whole 9 spots behind England. So tough match for them to start off pool play, to start off the Rugby World Cup for them and all the other teams. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, England versus America to start it, man. And England, probably the tournament favorite at number 1. Multiple-time runner-ups. And can they get a 3rd World Cup? We'll find out. Australia is going to be playing in Pool A as well versus Samoa. That is the other 2 opponents for the USA in pool play. Pool B will kick off with Scotland versus Wales. Just the good old classic of those 2 island teams. You got to love it. And then, of course, you got Canada and Fiji, followed by France and Italy in Pool D. So this is going to be some wonderful World Cup action to start off that 23rd. So right after the inaugural game, there will be the Saturday rugby, which is a good time. And then, boom, we roll right into Sunday with yet more rugby for you fine folks. Pool C, D, and C again will play 2 more. C will play 2 more games. That doesn't make any sense. So is New Zealand playing 2 games in a row? What's going on with C? Oh, because C doesn't even play that first day. Gotcha. Anyway, a lot of Women's Rugby World Cup action coming our way. Sports by Compian will be trying to follow this absolutely and make sure we're on top of it and telling you fine folks what's happening with it, who's winning, who's not winning. We'll find out for you and let you know because it's important stuff. USA Rugby will be taking on Australia that following week. And then they'll finally play against Samoa to end out the pool play phase. We'll, of course, let you know as they advance through the fixtures, advance in their Rugby World Cup. It's exciting times. We're going to get after it. If you're not excited about this type of stuff, though, you should be, because it's really good times. The USA Eagles women's are actually pretty good, as opposed to the Americans that really blow. These ladies have actually won it once. So let's hope they can have another miracle here. Let's get it done. We haven't done it since '91. That was before I was even born. It's time to get out there and win this. All right, ladies. We trust you. We hope for the best for you. But anyway, that does conclude our episode here of Sports by Compian. We've talked about all kinds of stuff with you. Started off with the UFL having to relocate. The poor Birmingham Stallions have to move on from Birmingham. It's tragic. It's tragic, but they need to continue as a franchise because they are historic already. So hopefully, maybe they'll go to be the Tampa Bay Stallions. Makes sense. There was definitely Stallions in Florida. Furthermore, we talked about David Walker going down with an injury, man. Really sad times. Poor David Walker. Tough way to start your NFL career, kid. Hope it turns around for you. And finally, last but not least, we talked about the Women's Rugby World Cup and how their USA Eagles are starting it off against England, the heavy cup favorites. So we'll see how that turns out for them. And, of course, California Legion is a thing now. So get excited about that, folks. And Nola Goldfold's very sad times for the MLR. But let's just focus on the positive stuff. Our women's team is about to go out there and represent the country in less than 30 days. Go, ladies. Go, Sports by Compian fans, for following and liking our content. We appreciate you guys. We're out.